Organised Labour has strongly condemned the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State, warning that it may be false to take decisive action that could disrupt national economic activities if the proclamation is not reversed within a reasonable time frame. The threat was contained in a statement jointly signed by the Rivers State chairperson of the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC), Alex Agwanwo, state chairperson of the Trade Union Congress (TUC), Ikechukwu Oyefuru, and chairperson of the Joint Negotiation Council, Chukwu Emecheta. The labor unions raised concerns about the legality, economic impacts, and consequences of the federal government's actions. The Organised Labour described the declaration of a state of emergency and the suspension of the elected governor Siminalayi Fubara, Deputy Governor Ngozi Odu, and House of Assembly members as premature and baseless. According to the union leaders, the people of Rivers State freely elected these officials, and any attempts to remove them outside constitutional processes undermines democracy. They insisted that such actions must be reversed to protect the integrity of Nigeria's democratic system. The Organised Labour warned that the state of emergency could have devastating economic consequences, emphasizing Rivers State's strategic importance to Nigeria's economy and the Niger Delta region. It said, with the nation already grappling with inflation, naira devaluation, high exchange rates, rising unemployment, and skyrocketing living costs, further instability in Rivers State could worsen the situation nationwide. The statement also pointed out that the political uncertainty caused by the state of emergency has driven away potential investors who had expressed interest in the state's economic initiative. We know that the country's revenue, Rivers State actually generates about 30% of the country's revenue. If I'm not mistaken, you can correct me. I am open to correction. This is just one out of bodies, groups, individuals that have come, to speak against the emergency rule in Rivers State. You are part of Rivers State, and we have seen how everything turned out to be. Raising why this story has actually been disclosed because Labour comes to speak over any incident that occurs. Recall that when the telecom, during the telecom crisis, they also came to speak over that incident, and we saw how everything turned out. And there was actually a time they said they were going to embark on strike or protest on March 1. Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because first, when you were talking about them, you called them organized labor. For me, remove that word organized because they are not organized. That's one. They have lost sense of direction. They have lost focus. For them to even dabble into reverse political crisis, for me, is a shame on their part. Why I say is a shame on their part. When all this crisis was going on, what role did they play to make sure that this crisis were resolved as at when due? They all took side, and today see where it has led Rivers State to. So for me, I liken them to children. I know when a child is throwing tantrums, you see that child is seeking attention, and you give the child attention, you give the child some lollipop, the child will calm down. For me, the Labour, we've had so many pressing and topical national issues which they would have gone on strike, they didn't go. First, even when it had to do with their minimum wage or their living wage, how long did it take them to go between them and government to get to the negotiation table? See the increase in prices of petroleum products. So far, what did they do? For me, the Labour is already compromised. I say it here without fear of contradiction. I say it here without an iota of regret, iota of reservation that the Labour movement, they have been seriously politicized. The last time we had Labour, real organized Labour, was in the time of Oshiomhole, where he embarked on. So he held the government hostage, and we felt the impact of Labour as a people in Nigeria. They were really the voice of the common man at some point after the judiciary or even before the judiciary. But today, the Labour, they have lost direction, they have lost focus. They just wake up and comment on any national issues, and at every point in time, they will always threaten strike. They will always threaten shutdown. They will always threaten. But what have they been able to do in all these threats? So for me, I liken them to children throwing tantrums that needs attention or some lollipop. And once they are given that lollipop, they all cool down. See what has happened in Rivers State. We all knew how this started. See where it has led us to. And there's no gain without pain. For me, I strongly believe that this emergency rule has calmed a lot of tension in Rivers State. Check as at 2-3 weeks ago, the state was already tensed. The legislator on one side, the governor on one side. See what, or check what would have happened if this was not nipped in the bud. For me, this could be likened to a situation in the Bible where two people or two women were dragging a child, and at the end of the day, King Solomon said, okay, bring knife, let me divide this child so that everybody will have equal parts. But if you look at it technically from that way, it didn't mean any good to them. So at this point, this emergency rule is in the best interest of.
So how about the suspension? What's your thoughts about the suspension?
It's not just the governor that was suspended, it's also the legislator. So the two warring factions, they've been asked to go. I mean, it could also be a period of soul searching. It should be a period of negotiation and genuine reconciliation, not just ordinary reconciliation. Even the Bible says, can two walk together except they agree? So we must get to that point of agreement where both parties will come down from their high horses. I've said it before. People need to come down from high horses. Put the interests of Rivers State first before every personal interest. Otherwise, it started as a political. The president called everybody to a round table. There were some decisions. The governor came back, said they are mere political solution, and he sought judicial solution. See where it has led us to, and we are now back again to that stage of reconciliation, setting up a panel or a committee of highly placed Nigeria to reconcile. Is it not the same thing that the president did? So let's see how it goes.
So you do not think there was a side in that instance?
For me, there's no. Why I say there's no side is that it's a win-win situation. The governor was suspended, the legislators were suspended. So both warring factions, they've been suspended. They'll go back and talk. Because whether I like it or not, people need to come down from their high horses. Nobody travels with load. No matter how skillful you are, once you have load, you have things that way you cannot fly high. So both parties need to come down from their high horses, shed some loads and some primordial sentiments, and put the interests of Rivers State.
Okay, I'm not going to cite anyone, but looking back at the situation, I think at the time the governor said he was ready to make peace, and then he said he was ready to submit the budget. Actually, that caused the whole. You're laughing again.
In law, they say he who must come to equity must come to equity with clean hands. I know what I'm saying. I followed this crisis from the beginning.
Okay, so you're saying that at that time he was not ready to make peace, but he said he was ready to make peace. So there was still that loggerhead situation going on.
If you want to make peace, peace must be genuine. Peace must be from the heart. You don't blow hot and cold with one breath. That you don't blow hot and cold with one breath, otherwise you choke. You have two eyes, but can you make one to look up and the other one look down at the same time? No. So you must put your eyes on the ball, not eye. If you try it, you have two eyes, one up, one down. No way. So for me, I believe that the governor was misled. I say it here. A lot of crisis merchants took over what was purely a family problem that snowballed into a political problem. And those crisis merchants took advantage of it, held the governor hostage, and this is where we are today. But I think the window is still open for reconciliation, negotiation, and lasting peace that will lead us to 2027.
I'll still go back to this suspension. We'll still come back to labor threats over this whole emergency rule situation. I want to go back to the suspension. About the decision that was taken by the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, over this suspending the sitting governor of the states. Constitutionally, we've discussed about some few constitutions this morning. Do you think that was the right move? Yes, actually, he was not. Sir Siminalayi Fubara was not the only suspended person in the question here. His deputy Ngozi Odu was also suspended, and the legislators were also suspended. But was that the right move to make, suspending a sitting governor? Constitutionally, looking at the laws, was that actually was the right move taken?
At the point when the president took that very painful decision, we were already beating war drums in Rivers State from both sides, where the governor was already served an impeachment notice. They on one side against the chief judge. So what the president did, for me, is in the best interest of, and since then we've had peace in Rivers State.
Okay, so
the political tension has died down.
Okay.
At least for now, everybody is back to base, where they need to sit down and talk. Whether you like it or not, what the president did is in the best interest of Rivers State, and not for people from outside to come and tell us what will be done here. Why I said so? If the president had not taken this kind of decision, God knows what would have happened in Rivers State. And Rivers State is, as we don't have any other state apart from Rivers State, so we must guide it jealously. We shouldn't allow outsiders to infiltrate our problem and tell us what to do. Because at some point, some crisis merchants were already coming from outside. Some going on national TV to pontificate. Some even say they have 60 lawmakers on their part. And the day they did the voice vote, I wonder why himself and his 61 of them could, well, in a place where you have 300 and how many members, if 60 people shout no, there would have been uproar in that chamber. So for me, this whole crisis was hijacked by crisis merchants who made money from River State out of this.
You see, you answered the question politically. I don't know.
No, it's not. No. Okay, rephrase your question.
I asked if the president took, according to the law, followed the constitution of the country. The amended one, 306, I think. I'm not
but I think he invoked section 305 of the constitution.
Was that actually according to the law? That suspension that was conducted.
Obasanjo did it. Joshua Darie was suspended for 6 months in 2006. Heaven did not fall. After everything, he went back to office and he completed his tenure. So I tell people there is no gain, no pain. If you want to have gain, there must be pain. There is no way you will make omelette without breaking egg. Except you don't want to eat omelette. Then that way you won't break egg.
Okay. You just use an idiomatic expression to answer my question, but that's okay. Let's go back to labor threats. And like you stated, this is one out of many threats that's come up. And looking at the both sides, because like I stated, Serap, Atiku, Obasanjo, the likes of Wole Soyinka also made a more like a selected statement, not to speak out of place. Respectfully, I respect him a lot, but he made a quite selected statement. So people were saying, where is he? Why has he not said something over it? And Labour had to join the queue of making statements over this emergency rule. We want to go back to the statements that these threats that were made by the Organised Labour.
Not Organised Labour.
They are still known as the Organised
Labour. By the Labour. I've told you that we've had so much pressing and topical national issues which they would have spoken, which they have risen, which they would have taken this kind of, they did not. Today, Rivers matter is more important to them. We in Rivers State, we want peace. If this decision will bring peace in Rivers State, so be it. So for the Labour, they should face more important issues.
So there's no need to
see, the Labour is becoming too political. And it's not in the interest. Granted, you have the Labour Party. No problem. Let them face the Labour Party and see how they can win elections, coming elections in Nigeria. At least God has been magnanimous to them. They have a sitting governor as a Labour Party. they have senators, they have House of Reps members, and for the first time they have so many legislators. So let them go and prepare for 2027. We want peace in Rivers State. The president has invoked Section 305 of the Constitution of Nigeria 1999 as amended. Let them be peace in Rivers State. Let them have their topical national issues. We want the price of product moved from 200 naira to nearly 700 naira. And since then, it's been on the high rise. What have they done? Telecom services charges moved from, they added how many percent? What did they do? So what's your interest in Rivers State?
Well, I made mention of that they came back to say that they were going to protest on March 1, or this telecom should be boycotted, like the NTN likes of Airtel, they should be boycotted, and they took a decision to embark on a protest. So it was a protest situation on March 1, but the next day we heard that they said they were going on a closed down meeting with the federal government, and after everything, that was how it turned out. So, and that's why I asked if this should be one like situation of the incident, most of the threats that they have come to state.
When a child is seeking attention, it's either you give that child attention.